Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Crypto Lab with Alex, featured by Trading Analysis. So before I start, I just want to wish our fearless leader, Todd, which is today, it's his birthday. So happy birthday, Todd. Many more market years and life years ahead of you. Successful. So happy birthday from the crypto keeper, as we had this this title before. So yeah, many events in the last week, guys, or this week. So we have to go into a couple of macro themes, and also we have to look a couple of charts. Not much of a change on the cryptos. We are still, in my opinion, in the fourth wave pullback in Ether and Bitcoin, or some sideways consolidation before we continue up. But we're gonna review. We had a couple of central bank decisions today and yesterday, so we're gonna go over that. Lots of still fear of inflation moving up, but as I was listening, the central banks heads this 2 days, yesterday and today. I have listened also what the Bank of England has to say, and just followed up to now Madame Lagarde on the ECB. So we have basically Fed hiking rates 25 basis points, ECB 50 basis points, and I think Bank of England is around 4%. So they also hiked rates on the upside, but Bank of England and Fed is very careful how they're going to proceed on the upside. We have seen by Jerome Powell yesterday that he was obviously very pleased by the developments, but most likely all of them are now having the same song, which is going to be a data dependent one. Depends what is going on the inflation. So let's check what the Fed tool is saying to us. So for 22nd of March, we are going to start to price in already, as you can see here, that we are going to stop raising rates, 17.3%, and one more hike in a range for 4.75 to 5%. So that is also in cards. So I also think that after this, depend of course on the CPI data that we're gonna have in the meantime, Fed it's gonna pause for the rest of 2023 and even maybe more. Okay, so I don't see also, if we don't see any rapid deceleration of inflation numbers below 4%, that Fed is gonna go down with rates more, as was our working case scenario for the last couple of months in the Crypto Lab. We were looking for a Fed to plateau, which means they're gonna stop raising rates, and after they're gonna pause and look what's going on with the data and the economy. So since we have the commodity prices significantly lower, potentially we might have one CPI going around. So in the last couple of weeks, we didn't see some crazy stuff on commodities moving lower. So the next CPI might be still between 6 and 6.5%, which will still make these central bankers cautious proceeding further. But what is a good news is that markets are moving on the upside, at least in US. And that is kind of a predicament of environment where market has some certainty what the Fed is going to do, and they might potentially price in a little bit more what is going to happen in the beginning of 2024 or the end of 2023, and they're going to probably look Fed to move one step lower and start decreasing rates as they're trading currently. So the S&P and Nasdaq are moving on the upside. I'm going to show you that charts. Don't forget that stock markets are the forward mechanism. So we are seeing today what the market thinks is going to be in the next 6 months to 1 year period. And definitely, if you see how the markets behaves, they're starting to price in slowly that the Fed might actually reverse its policy after a couple of months pause and actually move lower with the rate. So let's see what the May is telling us. So pretty much the same, 4.75 to 5%, and then 30.5% to move 5 to 5.25. I think this is going to change towards this, that we are going to stay the same as they raise potentially to 5% in March. So let's see what is going on the 10-year yield. So pretty much the same thing, a little bit moving to the downside. We are at 3.38. So either, as I said, we are looking here for a potential sideways consolidation, either a triangle, which will fit very nicely, kind of a couple of weeks sideways price action, and then one more pop on the upside where the rate cycle will finish, because I'm still not prepared to put this wave 5 here. This is still not enough for me to actually call that the bigger move lower in rates are starting. So I would like to be wise as the central bankers and wait a little bit more with this wave count on the downside. So I will wait, I think, this to find some support and then potentially go sideways, and on the March maybe one more push higher, and then I think the what the market is looking is going to actually materialize. The rates are going to go substantially lower for a 1 or 2 or even 3-year period, while after a 5-wave move correction starts and actually lasts for 1.5 and 2 years, because the rates, as you can see, are moving on a slower pace than other assets classes. So this is our working case scenario, and it has been for the last couple of months if you are following the crypto lab on the macro side. And we are still thinking that we are in some type of a consolidation in a wave 4, small push up in a wave 5 towards this 4.85%, and then I think the market is right to price in that the Fed is gonna start to move further lower. Okay, so let's look what is going on with the dollar index. So we are looking for a pullback or some type of a sideways consolidation. So 5 waves down potentially is done, maybe a little bit more downside. We are still looking for some 5 waves up in this wave A. So what we think is that we're going to see some type of an ABC pullback, and then when the rates starts to move further lower, I think the dollar has a base case scenario after the 5-wave moves up on the higher time frames that we are going to do at least an ABC pullback. We have a nice support here if we draw this line on the weekly chart. So simple trend line. Usually you will see some bounce of this type of lines when you see them from technical perspective on higher time frames, and this one coincides with a potential 5-wave move completed here, and then a bounce in the ABC. So potentially since these banks, except the ECB, has been a little bit more hawkish, but I think that the market doubts the ability of the ECB to raise rates to that extent that Ms. Lagarde is actually advocating. So I think she's I will not say bluffing, but maybe she is a little bit more forward what they're going to do to bring inflation below 2% than might actually do. So maybe inflation is going to start moving lower in a faster pace, so she will not have to be so, because the economic situation in Europe with this Russian-Ukraine conflict and all of the other stuff is not so bright. So I really doubt the propensity of the ECB to move rates on such a bigger numbers that she's actually saying. Okay, so let's look what's going on with the German 10-year bonds. So let me just see what is happening now. Yeah, so this chart actually we track that. So it's basically saying the same, that ECB is going to go potentially up to 3%. I look for a 4th-wave consolidation, one more push up, and that will be the first wave A on the upside. And then, as in the US 10-year yields, most likely we're going to see a move down to this previous trend line, where the next inflationary cycle will begin. So I don't think this is the end. like some of the people are saying. So I think this is just the first leg. We're going to have 1 or 2 years a pause, and then we're going to go in another inflationary cycle from 2024-25 to 2028-2030 on the upside. So I don't think this move is actually all what we are going to see. But we will have some pause, which will allow the risk assets to go on the upside, which we already see, and also the cryptos as well. And that's why we do this, because we are evaluating the macro conditions for the risky assets to go on the upside, among them also Bitcoin, Ether, and a couple of other cryptos that we follow very closely for our members. So yeah, so just to recapitulate, I don't know the word, so just to say it again. So fourth wave, a little bit more on the upside, bigger pause. Same thing on dollar index, move on the upside, and then further followed move to the downside. And on the European rates, same thing, pause, fourth wave, one more, and then a bigger pause in rates. So this is the interest from I think around March, that the rates, March, April, the rates are going to finish their cycle, and then we're going to go further to the downside, which kind of also agrees when you see this Aussie dollar, pound dollar, dollar index, Bitcoin, Ether, and a couple of other currencies. Okay, so let's move and let's look what do we see on the Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is still moving on the upside. So I'm still looking for some type of a consolidation in this wave 4. So as you can see from lows, we have this as an expanding leading diagonal in 1, pullback in a 2, in a wave 2, in an ABC. So we have a very nice vertical development of the wave 3 on the upside, reaching some of the higher fib levels here. This is the 200% projection from the wave 1 to get the target for the wave 3, and we have a minor intermediary wave 0.61 at 24, which is currently now. So either we are in some type of a triangle, or we are in some type of a flat. I do expect some type of the fourth wave pullback before we continue on the upside towards this 26, 27 target. Okay, so this will be the first wave. So the big question is this first wave just in wave A, down in B, up in C? So we go to 40K and then we collapse, or this is the new cycle on the upside, which will take Bitcoin towards the new highs, which is kind of a sort of our thesis that this was the fourth wave in flat, and that Bitcoin will actually do a fifth wave on the upside. So this will be 1, 2, up in 3, very a long wave 4 without the wave count invalidation, and then we will go in a 1, 2, up in 3, 4, and 5 towards 100K and maybe even above. So we are still following that case. One of the things potentially it is relatively certain, or let me put it this way, it has a bigger probability to unfold, is that this is a wave A, down in B, up in C. So 40K I think is something which is a very high probability event, and then we're gonna see are we gonna get this extension further on the upside for this wave 5 on the Bitcoin side. So on the Ether side, Ether is behaving much better than Bitcoin. So let me go first over Ethereum Bitcoin. So we are getting to our target. Our target is in this box, so we are very close to our target, and for this Ethereum Bitcoin chart, and we think according to this wave count, which has been serving us pretty nicely for our members, we were looking for this chart to develop already from some around here, if I'm not wrong, to be bullish on Ethereum Bitcoin cross. So this is a 5-wave move in a wave 3, pullback in a wave 4 without the wave count invalidation, and then after almost ideal 1618 time measurement between the wave 2 and wave 4, sometimes you will get that. So as you can see, a golden ratio here, and then we have a 5 waves up. This is a very nice 3-way move pullback, and then we expect a larger third wave to develop in a very explosive way on this cross, which actually will put most likely Ethereum on a bigger scale move on the upside than a Bitcoin, at least in a first instance. So what we look on these time frames, we are looking for some type of a consolidation and then a wave 1. But what is interesting towards Ethereum, and if we add simple moving average, which is, we are looking just because market participants are observing that, but it's sometimes very good to look at, and from that perspective we are trading below it, above it. Bitcoin is still trading below it, and Ethereum on this daily and weekly are still kind of trading above this 200, while Bitcoin was actually posting a new low, and many other cryptos. Ethereum on the FTX collapse and all of the other things was just moving towards this line. So you're gonna see now a confluence between the supports lower and the trend line higher, which is actually accumulating energy for a potential bigger move on the upside, which I think it's most likely it's going to be the case. So on Ether, we have this as 1, down in 2, and then we have a lesser degree 1, 2, which might produce a relatively explosive event up in the wave 3 after this pullback. So on a smaller time frame, we do see potential 5 waves up. This trend line has been holding pretty nicely as a support level, as you can see. So now either a triangle or a small pullback. This might be some type of running flat, moving lower to 1,500 or a little bit above, and then we might see acceleration on the upside towards 2,000, 1,900 before an ABC pullback, which will be a pretty much of an interesting thing for us for the next movement on the upside. I'm still not looking some of the bearish options because as you know, we have also a stock service, a trading analysis. So we do monitor very carefully what is going on the stocks. So S&P on the bullish wave count is developing nicely. So for now we are tracking this wave count. We are still not out of the woods, but for now we crossed a very important levels, which was, as you can see, a pretty big resistance before. So a couple of times here, here and here, but we are now itching higher, which is a very good sign, I think, for a potential a further development on the upside, which will be also bullish for crypto. So we are going to stay progressively bullish for now until we see some of the events that might actually put in the question this rise. And also, if we look the SMH chart, which is in correlation with Bitcoin and cryptos, of course, but it's also overlay of this Nasdaq, and SMH as a subsector goes very well with it. So I'm going to just show you the SMH, which kind of trades very nicely on the upside. So let me just find it here on the list, and then I'll just quickly go over that chart so that you can see that SMH is actually advancing pretty nicely on the upside. The Bitcoin is lagging a little bit, but it's starting to catch up. And as you can see on the SMH, we are seeing a very impulsive move on the upside, and a little bit more upside progression will actually hammer this wave 3, which will give us an indication that this is definitely some type of a very bullish development on the SMH, which should also correlate with the Bitcoin moving further on the upside. And it's the same situation on the Nasdaq, where we see some of the crucial levels are being broken on the upside. We are still very careful on that one, but for now the things are developing in the direction which indicates that these conditions might ease a bit even more as the couple of weeks passes. Definitely the next CPI will be a very important one, and for that manner, I think it's not going to go below 6%, at least in a first instance. But of course, I might be wrong. because inflation data are lagging. I didn't see much move down in commodities. I think lately, I'm talking in the last couple of weeks. So we are pretty much sideways on many of them, except of the net gas. So potentially, because of the mild winter, and potentially we might see a little bit fight over there before we go below 6%, and then that will hammer a couple of these reliefs that the central bank has over the inflationary picture. So let me just see your comments. So this first part of presentation is done. I just wanted to quickly go over the macro environment and Bitcoin and Ether. So Polkadot, I see the requests. We have been all over Polkadot. Our case scenario was that potentially we're going to see this lows around the target 786, and it was 3.98 to 4.1. We traded a little bit higher, around 4.4, and we think that we are now developing some type of an impulsive, at least an ABC pullback. If this turns into a larger degree 5 waves up, then something like this will happen. I'm not at all calling this now in this moment. This is something which was very popular in the last crypto cycle, where people are calling some insane prices. We definitely don't want to do that. I just don't want to exclude it if we get into a very bullish risk-on environment. So I will approach this very carefully, as always we do at Trading Analysis. So I will look this to be just an ABC, and then if we pass equality or a measured move, we're going to then start to actually look this as a 1, 2, up in 3, 4, and 5, or some type of a wave 1 and 2 of larger degree development towards some of the higher targets. But for now, definitely after this 5 waves up, which might complete soon around this region, pullback will be very interesting event for us, from where we can try to capture some of the movement on the upside. So Polkadot, in my book, looks very good from this perspective, because from these lows we are seeing the signs that this might be, at least for a couple of months, sustainable rally of the upside after a pullback. Silver, I don't know what a silver is doing. I didn't look at it today, so let me look what the gold and silver are doing. So let me just try to activate this FX platform, which I have, which is probably, let me just see. Yeah, silver is 1.4% up, as I see. So still we don't see a 5 waves up on silver. So I'm just quietly waiting on this to see the first 5 wave development on the upside. And gold is going pretty nicely. That was our best case scenario. If you follow the crypto lab, that gold is actually gonna continue further on the upside. So we still don't have a fully 5 wave developed impulse on the upside. So we need to be careful and wait a little bit more, because this can be just a 3 wave pullback for now. So we need to have a wave 4 and wave 5, a little bit more on the upside, and then the probability will increase that after a pullback gold might continue on the upside, which is basically a dollar play. As you can see, gold was starting to move the upside when the dollar index was starting to move down from its highs. So it's a purely dollar play, in my opinion. Okay, so let me just look a couple of other things. Let me just look a couple of, maybe we can look a couple of other cryptos. Let me just find something which I have here. And then I will go over maybe a couple of other cryptos that we track. We track pretty big number of cryptos for our members, but from the latest developments, I'm focused on a couple of them. Yeah, Solana has been moving on the upside. We are still looking the first 5 wave move development from lows. So we are in some type, I think, in a wave 4. So maybe a little bit more upside before we do correct on Solana. Matic is doing great. We were very bullish on Matic, and Matic was also one of the cryptos which was holding very well during the FTX crisis. So we are still in the range, but the current developments are really encouraging that we are forming potentially a base for a further continuation higher. Okay, so Matic is also on our list. There is a couple of more. Binance Coin has been a little bit in trouble, but potentially we are in some type of a triangulation there. Dogecoin, I still don't see any major developments. So this might be some type of a 5 waves up, 3 waves pullback, but I really need to see more. I mean, this is still not 100% convincing for me. We need to go out of this range here or do some more upside developments on Doge coin. So I'm not even tracking it that much, to be honest. And also SNX is moving on the upside. We were looking for a 5-wave move. There is a couple of cryptos which has been doing nice. So we have to look for a pullback there. So obviously this will be the wave 4 and a little bit more upside in a wave 5. Also Sandbox is doing good. So we are tracking there also a 5-wave move from lows, which all of are good signs, which means that at least you're gonna have an ABC pullback, which means that after the first 5 waves on a Bitcoin and Ether, which I emphasize that Ether is in a better position, after a pullback, lots of these cryptos will at least go one more move on the upside with the same measurement and these previous moves, which means that 2023 will be rather characterized as a bullish year for cryptos if you look what's going on these charts. Rosetta is asking, do you think Ethereum Circle B is extending? I don't know, what do you mean about this Ethereum Circle B? Let me look at Ethereum again. So yeah, I'm never tied so much on these labelings. I do like to watch the context of the story. Labelings, in my opinion, are not so important as the overall context, what we see, what's going on. If you think about this B, this might be a flat, so 3 waves down, a complex 3 waves up, and then, as I said, we might have a running flat, which will be a 335, and then after this flat is done, we might continue up to complete this first 5-wave cycle. It's a very nice pattern. So 5 waves up, a pullback, and then another 5 waves up in a wave 3. Consolidation above this trend line, which is derived from the highs of the wave 1 and 2, and it's as you can see portraying a very nice support here, and then I think we're going to continue to complete this first 5-wave cycle from these lows here. Okay, so I don't think usually we have one ratio for these flats. If this is thrown over on the upside, then the probability of the flat correction is less and less, and most likely this is going to be a directional move. But for now it's complying, okay? If you think about that, Rosetta. ENS US, I don't know about ENS. I actually, maybe I never saw it. So let me see. Did I go over the total crypto market cap? I don't think I did. Just quickly, so the same thing as in Bitcoin. So we think that 5 waves up is done, 5 waves down is done, 1, 2, up in 3, so we are in some type of wave 3. Always you should look at the previous wave 4's region from here to here as a resistance level. So from there I will expect a wave 4 pullback and then a completion in a wave 5, and after we should see an ABC. Okay, so that's relatively very simple. So let me just look for these cryptos that you ask. I don't know if I made any analysis on it. I don't think so. I did. Let's see, Binance feed. Oh yes, we did. We marked this a long time ago as a 5-wave move, and then we have some type of a pullback in 3 waves. So 1, 2. So this is still not any bullish development. It's still not materialized. So this needs to form a 5-wave move, and then potentially it's going to be interesting on a pullback. But I will still not confirm that this is done. Okay. So if we look a weekly one, this has been moving lower, and then from lows we have a 5 waves up. So I mean, the wave structure, it's kind of okay after this pullback, but then we are over 786 or just around there. If this starts to push higher, so probability will increase. You're going to see wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5, at least for next couple of weeks. Yeah, parachains. I didn't track parachains and how their activity are doing. Probably they decreased activity as the Polkadot and overall crypto activity has decreased in the latest move lower. So I just have to see where the parachain as star is. It is we can find it here as star. S-star, so this is the parachain. So let me see. Maybe it's better we look at it on a Kuts coin. Yeah, so straight 5 waves down in value. So it started at 0.344 and finished at 0.0332. This is still not good for a complete recovery. So there is a signs of recovery, but we need to see some type of a 5-wave development here. Okay, so for now we don't see that. So I will not say that this is indicated a full recovery, especially if the Polkadot recovers. Parachains should recover accordingly. At least a parachains which has an activity. Okay, but this is for me technically still not good enough to say that we are done. Okay, so if you look the daily chart, you have some type of an indication that something is going on. We are moving up, but we don't see nothing of a completion in an impulsive fashion on the upside. So technically, I will still, if you ask me personally, I will not have an exposure on it. Okay, from the trading perspective, not from the kind of a longer term future perspective. Okay. So XC, so let me see what is that, XC USDT. So let me see what the XC is. I don't know which one. I don't see this one here. Nope. So probably the ticker is not correct. So Kafa Yugandahar, if you can please correct the ticker so I can look the proper chart. Yeah, let me look what the Chilis was doing. Yeah, from the pullback region, as an ABC, it's moving on the upside. So this is also after a 5-wave move, and we have a 335. We are moving in an impulsive fashion. So this is small 5 waves up. So pullback will be definitely something of an interest, at least for me. Yeah, so let's look what's going on with a couple of other cryptos, and let's finish it today. For today, so where did I see some rather also XRP is still in a triangle. I don't know if I open the longer term charts on cryptos. Let me just look at that. Here they are. So I still think this XRP is a kind of an incredible sideways move. We were looking for further move on the upside for our clients in the XRP. Longer term charts indicates potentially we are still in some type of a very closing. So when you see the price action going from a larger expansion of volatility, as you can see here, to a smaller and smaller expansion of volatility, this means that we are gonna near very soon any breakout, either on the upside or on the downside. Okay, so as you can see, this kind of a triangulation is narrowing the volatility pattern to being smaller and smaller, and this usually ends with an explosion. Okay, so at this time we are not looking for this explosion on the upside, on the downside, because overall wave count still kind of agrees. And this is the real data. I was just plotting it here like this because I don't have this data on the Crypto Compare feed. So wave 2 was relatively big, and it goes to 2618 around March, February, March, for the completion of this triangle, which is still okay. Okay, so I'm going to look for signs that we are in a DNE and then potentially 5 waves up. So we are still very sideways on XRP. Okay, but you will see decreasing and kind of a combustion volatility here towards these ends of these two lines. LDO, never heard of it. Okay, so let me look that one. I like to do ones which I don't know. Some new charts. Well, it looks nice. ABCX, ABC, so 5 waves up. This one, of course, it's definitely something young. I have to look what is that. Which type of a project is this? So I always start with an ABC. So 5 waves up is relatively clear here, and a pullback is relatively clear. So you have 5 waves down and then a pullback and then another. So ABC, X, ABC, maybe a small truncation here. So I start everything with ABC first, and then if you see continuation, then we will turn this into 1, 2. Okay. So definitely you have 5 waves up here. If you look the smaller subdivisions, so maybe a little bit more upside, and then I will be looking for a support line on the correction here around 1.76 or a little bit lower. Okay, but look, kind of a nice looking chart, nice developments from these lows, and then we have this midline resistance levels. As you can see, price was kind of hesitating going above it. So we might see a little bit more of a pullback before we hammer this, or this is already done, we're going to see a bigger pullback. But anyhow, in both cases, this looks relatively nice, because I think we're going to see this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, a further expansion on the upside on a higher degree. Okay. Oh, it's used for Ethereum staking. Okay, cool. I mean, that's probably just going to grow as the need for Ethereum might grow. Okay, so that's fine. So if this is some type of wave 1, 3, 4, and 5, so at least we might go in the next 2023-24 after a nice pullback towards these levels on the upside. So it looks nice currently, because after a 5-wave move, you have a corrective pullback, and then after this corrective pullback is done, you have a nice 5-wave move on the upside, which indicates after a smaller pullback, a continuation on the upside. Okay, guys. So yeah, so that's kind of completes today's session. Let me just show you just another insight on a Bitcoin. So let's just review this for the end. So still I'm looking for some type of a consolidation, either triangle or a flat, and then a final push up in this first sequence. And the same for Ether, but looking the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, as you can see, we are looking Ether to be more explosive in 2023 than Bitcoin. So I like this Ether chart also very much. I don't think many people are looking this in this manner. I do think that Ether was very, very resilient, and that indicates a lots of underlying strength, and that actually we're going to develop into this explosive pattern more. And I think probability indicates that more we are going likely to do so than we are going not to do so. Okay. So thank you guys once more. If you want to see our work, you can go to tradinganalysis.com, crypto service, members webinars, chart requests in Discord group, many things for the crypto lovers. Also you can like and subscribe to our channel. That will be helpful as well, so you can give us a little reward for the work we do. And yeah, macro scene starts to fit in potentially into a bullish picture. So Fed is going to plateau, it's going to stop raising rates without pivoting, without decreasing, I think, 2023. But I think it's going to be enough for the stock markets or risk on to evaluate the future developments, and this might be pushing still, and even CPI, if it goes lower, it's going to help it to go further higher. So yeah, so see you next week, guys. Bye bye.